So I am back, you guys, with another video. This one, in the last video, I said I was doing piecework. That was the end of it right there. I thought I was working on the belt loops, but I wasn't. I was testing out the fabric and the needle. And I apologize. In this video, I am literally working on the belt. So this is what, 18 minutes? I'm going back to the manual, the textbook, Black Designers in American Fashion, edited by Elizabeth Way. I do not think reading from this manual, this text, is copyright infringement. I did write them. I wrote Bloomsbury, and I wrote Elizabeth Way asking for permission to use some of the images and the cover of the book, because in the last video I did use the book cover, and that probably was a copyright violation. So I had to own up to it, and I wrote them and told them. And so in this video, I'm not going to put up the cover of the book because that would be copyright infringement, and I don't want any copyright strikes. But I am going to read from the book, and I don't think that's a copyright violation right there. So, and I am on the introduction by Elizabeth Way. So if this is, I get a copyright strike, then I'm going to have to find another way to talk about this material and not get in trouble. But again, this is Black Designers in American Fashion. It's published by Bloomsbury Books. So I have my reading glasses on this time so they're not falling off. So when Lois K. Alexander was interviewed by model turned journalist Norma Jean Day Darden in 1975 on the opening of the Black Fashion Museum, Alexander explained that the impetus for her project was to reveal the forgotten histories of black fashion makers. She pointed out a disconnect in the perception of contemporary black designers by both the mainstream fashion industry and the designers themselves. I obviously have a slight stutter. We always begin with the current generation without knowing the investment of past generations. Darden herself was a pioneering black model, praised Alexander for her determination to shatter the myth that blacks are newfound talent in the fashion world. Holy crap. Funded by the National Endowment for the Arts, Alexander traveled the United States collecting clothing objects and the stories of those who had taught and nurtured the black designers of the 1970s, stating, "It is their grandmothers who worked long and hard and anonymously that I am looking for." The Black Fashion Museum not only preserved and traced a rich and relevant history for public, it also served as inspiration and motivation for the students at the neighboring Harlem Institute of Fashion, founded by Alexander in 1966. This book picks up Alexander's mantle. Fashion history was still developing as an academic discipline when she published Blacks in the History of Fashion in 1982. Since then, countless scholars and curators have exponentially expanded the canon of fashion scholarship. More recently, insightful academics from the various fields, including history, anthropology, and literature, as well as fashion scholars and curators, have examined the role of fashion in the style black communities and in visual culture that black individuals create. Fashion, clothing, and style have undoubtedly served as transformative tools for African Americans. In her seminal work, Slaves to Fashion, Black Dandyism, and the Styling of the Black Diasporic Identity. I might have to get that. Monica L. Miller details the deep and syncretic understanding of clothing that West African people exercised in their self-expression, and how those knowledges followed them across the Atlantic. Miller, as well as Graham White and Shane White, in their book Styling African American Expressive Culture from its beginning to the Zoot Suit, note the influence of the West African aesthetic practices on African American style, the embrace of the new and unusual, the ability to inventively manipulate or blend the traditional and the novel. A lot of information out there about African Americans and our histories we know has been suppressed and hidden from us. But when you read it and you know it's out there and you try to find it, sometimes it's frustrating. I got this book. I purchased this book from Green Apple Books in San Francisco, way out. I don't know if it's quite the avenue. I know it's off of 10th, off of, I can't remember the name of the street. It wasn't Gary. Oh, what is it on here? Here it is right here. Well, there's Green Apple Books, Clement Street, Clement and 10th, right off of Clement and 10th. It's on Clement Street off of 10th. They have another Books on the Park, 1231 9th Avenue. Never been there. Browser Books in the Fillmore. Haven't been there. But I have been to the Clement Street a lot of times, and they had a lot of fashion books. And their section keeps getting smaller for whatever reason. I mean, fashion seems to be marching on, but in the Bay Area, it's like it's dwindling away. And that's concerning. There was a book in Green Apple, and this no disrespect to Green Apple Books, they were booksellers, but their fashion section seems to be getting smaller and smaller. Anyways, one of the last time I went there, I think that's when I picked up this one actually, and I saw it. I had to get it, because I don't know when I was going to have the money, and I don't know how long the book was going to be there. And like I said, our histories are sometimes taken from us and hidden and obfuscated and distorted. Twisted. Anyways, that was a book in there, and I know I'm talking fast, and it was for shoes. I told a couple of other people this, not a lot of people, but just like I think 2 other people, and it was for making shoes, and it was in older text, 1960, 1940, maybe even 1930. Anyway, it's a pretty cool book. I wanted it, did not get it, kicking myself for that. But I'm telling you this because they had shoe sizes, feet sizes for people, individuals, men and women, in the book. And I am not playing. They had Caucasian, Asian, Latino. They had every race except for black people. And when I told the people that I saw the book, they looked at me like, I don't know what was going through their mind, to be obviously. But it was kind of insulting because I got I wanted the book, but I did not buy the book. But I kind of made an offhanded comment like, black people don't have feet. They literally had in there Europeans and then Asian people and then I guess Latino. They had like 4 different ethnicities in there, or races rather, because race is a construct, but they did not have African people in there. Not African Americans, just African people. They had Asian people, they had white people, they had Latino people. And I was like, what the? And this was a book published in the United States. So when I see these books about black people, I don't care if they're African or Caribbean or was it Antillean, South American, Britain, French, whatever. Our histories, our contributions, it's just literally, we don't even have feet, you guys. I mean, that is how bad this is. And this, like I said, I got this book. I mentioned it in the other video. If I'm not mistaken, I got this book in 2022, 2023. It's Black Designers in American Fashion. And I remember that I had this book. I got 2 or 3 others. One was for queer people. And I wanted that book on making shoes. It was tight, I thought. And then I was like, wait a minute. There are no black people. Black people don't have feet? That's, and I know people are, or people could come in here and try to explain it away, but no, you don't have Caucasian people and then the Asian people and then this ethnicity and then this ethnicity, but no black, no African, no people of African descent. That is why books like these, manuals like these, texts like these are so important, because we will just literally be erased. I'm still to this day dumbfounded, and I want to go back and get that book, if not just for that purpose. I mean, I want to learn how to make shoes, but just for that purpose. You make a book, you write a book, scholarly book, a book that teaches, and a whole ethnic population doesn't exist. So, where was I? Because I'm better than halfway through. I know my reading it's going to get better because I'm starting to read again. So, and this is kind of cool, I think. Bum, 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 bum. Of course, if I'm going to get in trouble, I'm not going to do these. Won't be able to do this. Black Americans have created unique cultures across the country, differentiated by enslavement or freedom, as well as, expressing their creativity. These efforts were not always seen as understood by mainstream America and were in no way monolithic. Black Americans have created unique cultures across the country, differentiated by enslavement or freedom, as well as geography and class. These differences were manifested in active discourses within the larger African American population about how black people should dress and how their fashion choices affected their treatment by mainstream society. Ideas about respectability, politics, and fashion are debated into the 21st century. Within this wider history of black style, designers and makers are only one part, but they are an important part. Black makers have been crucial in dressing Black Americans, but they have also significantly contributed to mainstream American fashion culture. Yet few scholarly works have focused specifically on black fashion makers. Throughout this book, a group of scholars have dug deep into the history of makers, people who have turned inanimate material into forms that have adorned the bodies and shaped the identities of a wide variety of people, from enslaved laborers to first ladies to hip-hop stars. These makers, called seamstresses, Mantua makers, modesties, dressmakers, and designers have all used their skills not only to create beautiful, interesting, and provocative clothing, but also to buy their freedom, obtain property, fund migrations, and head companies. Producing fashionable clothing could be a lucrative form of empowerment for black people, but just as importantly, it was and is an outlet to assert their humanity, express artistic impulses, and to achieve visibility, even fame, in a society that has sought to render them invisible. I just told y'all. There is a book. It was in Green Apple Books at their Clement Street store. I don't know if it's still there. They had a book on making shoes, and black people were not in the manual. I was in my feelings. I was in my feelings. I thought it was hilarious, but I was in my feelings, because they had them all in one place. It was a list, and it was the difference. It categorized. It's like those racist identifications, those racist. I can't even remember the name now. Those markers. Intelligence, there were just, the different sizes for different ethnicities. And I was just dumbfounded. I did not see African people in there. So I wish I could get that book. I want to go back out there, but I don't have any money right now. But I so want that book. I know there are more books out there like that, but that one was right in my clutches, and I decided not to get it. because I'm watching my money. I didn't get it because I thought it was a bad. I did not get it because I thought it was a bad book. I did not get it because I'm watching my money. But I thought getting this book and a couple and the other queer books was more important. But in hindsight, the erasure of an ethnicity may have been not cool on my part, because I can only talk about it, and people can say, well, it doesn't exist, and no one's going to come unless someone wants to. No one's going to come out and literally expose that racism was so bad that we weren't even included in manuals that showed that detailed how to make shoes. Like, black people don't wear shoes. We don't have houses. Again, there's the political creeping in there again. It gets political because there are some people who believe that black people are less than. And I wish, guys, if I go back to that place and I see that book, I'm going to get it. Or if I see another book in fashion that does not feature black people, for something as simple as footwear, I'm going to get it. So anyways, you guys see me here making the belts for the white jersey dress. That was kind of cool. I like that. I told you guys I had been looking for content to talk about. I have a couple of more, like a few more books that I can pull out. I have the McQueen book. I have the Patrick Kelly book. I have like 5 or 6 reference, big thick ones. I have textbooks from school on textiles and stuff like that. So I'll probably be jumping around here and there talking about fashion, and I don't mind this. I do want to do some lives, or I do want to have this setting in the background while you look at my mug and I dissect fashion. Yeah. So we're coming up on the end here pretty soon, in about 2 minutes. Thank you guys. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. I wrote to Bloomsbury and I wrote to Elizabeth Way asking for permission to use some of the images in the book. I don't think reading is against copyright law. If it is, then this reading right here and the last one will be the only 2 I do. But if it isn't, then I will be reading from other books. I will probably, if reading, yeah. But as far as putting up the material, reposting it, I probably won't be doing that unless I write to them and get permission. So anyway, again, thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed. Fringe Crew.